Grammarly, like you've never seen before. Your all-in-one writing essential. Recycling is
Tonight, I'm changing all the stations.
I think this is the right song. I think this is the right song. There we go. Cut the music, cut the music. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Cut the music. It's time, chat. It is time. Welcome back to the streams, man. I missed this, for real. And because I missed it so much, you can't see me yet. I know. Y'all are dialed in. I know that, for real. So let's get me up on screen. Shall we? Y'all miss me, chat? The camera is going to be kind of scuffed. That's solely because of the lighting in my room. We're back. Unbelievable. I know. It's been 4 months. Or 3 months. I've lost count. But yeah, the lighting in here is horrific. We had a backlight, but I mean, it would have blocked my face out. But don't worry, when I go back home and we're back in the office or back in my home bedroom or whatever we stream in, the lighting will be miraculous. And we'll go back to games. You know, we could like talk crap about teams and we could watch I was gonna watch the World Cup draw on stream, but unfortunately, I have a show during that. But we will be immediately reacting in 2 weeks, by the way. We will be immediately reacting to the World Cup draw, and we're gonna go over the whole thing. It'll be like a 2-hour stream. And it's gonna be awesome. But welcome back to Footy Fridays, the first episode in what's felt like an eternity. I'm Robbie Basil. If you've never seen this channel before, welcome. It is good to have you all here. Make sure you hit subscribe. It'd be cool. Hit the like button. 1 like equals 1 prayer that will get better lighting in this room. Yeah, in the past, we've had like the window open and they get more lighting here. We might actually try that later on stream. But what are we going over today? So earlier this week, we finished the final international window of soccer, and we are going to go over all 42 teams. We'll keep it simple. We'll go over the more recent stuff of like what's happened, because I know some of y'all don't want me to go back 3 years in the making. I was also gonna like try and condense, like make 1 video out of all of the stuff we've done, but that video would have been 7 hours, and I don't think y'all would want that. So what we're gonna do today is that we're gonna go over the whole thing, like the parts you need to care about, in 1 hour, ideally. Starting with, we're gonna begin with Asia, because we're gonna briefly go over the final 8 round of Asia, because that's how it is alphabetically. I think that's the best way to word it. And then we go to Africa, and then we're gonna go to freaking Oceania. I think at one point. Oh no, Oceania happened already. Shout out New Caledonia. They're going to. We'll go over the Intercontinental Playoff. We have the craziness of CONCACAF that I was supposed to stream on Tuesday, but I had a game and I was really sad about it. We almost did an IG live on it because of something that happened with some tiny islands and a team conceding a goal in the 94th minute to knock themselves out of it. It's really weird. We'll go over all that. We have Europe. We have every continent in the world, other than South America, because South America finished its qualifying earlier this month. Shout out Bolivia for no reason at all. But yeah, Bolivia did make it to the playoff. We get to destroy some teams later today, and I'm very excited. So what do we need to know? We're going to start in Asia. We'll quickly walk you through what happened. The last time we were together, I believe, was at the end of the 3rd round. And at that time, Iran, Uzbekistan made the World Cup. And we talked about it, I think, in like August. And we had South Korea and Jordan qualify. but there was a battle for the playoff between, for some reason, Indonesia, China, and Saudi Arabia, along with Australia and a bunch of other stuff happened. Well, Australia back a couple of months ago now qualified for the World Cup with Japan, South Korea, Jordan, Iran, Uzbekistan. They all qualified. UAE, Qatar, Iraq, Oman, Saudi, and Indonesia went to the playoff. And I think that's where we left off last. Well, we had 2 groups of 3 teams. You have to win your group to qualify. I know I was going to set this all up, but we had like audio problems for the last like 35 minutes. I actually don't have anything to put up for y'all. Upcoming videos, we do have like visuals. I'm sorry. It's just the first stream back. You know how it is. But the biggest story was in Group A. We had Qatar, UAE, and Oman. 3 countries that would back themselves to qualify out of this automatically and go to the World Cup. Well, unfortunately, only one of those teams could go, and the other team would go to the Asian playoff. And it starts with the opening match with the biggest snooze fest you could think of. By the way, all this happening, I believe, in Qatar. I don't even remember at this point. It was all in the neutral site. You get the idea. Oman drew Qatar. That really shot Oman in the foot because Oman went out and lost to the United Arab Emirates, 2-1. Oman's only goal of the whole thing, by the way, chat, was an own goal in the 12th minute against the UAE, which gave them the lead. That was the first goal of the group, an own goal by the United Arab Emirates, giving Oman a 1-0 lead. But the UAE come back, they win 2-1, courtesy of 2 late second-half goals, and the UAE were in the driver's seat. Unfortunately, they had the driver's seat for all of 12 seconds because Qatar went out and beat the UAE 2-1, and a couple of days later, sending Qatar to the World Cup. This is the first time they've actually ever qualified automatically by themselves. And that would send the UAE to the playoff because they went out and they actually won a match, unlike Oman. In Group B, Indonesia got, pulled. They should have been beat by a lot more. They lost to Indonesia lost to Saudi Arabia 3-2, and then Iraq beat Indonesia, setting up a do-or-die match between Saudi and Iraq. Saudi and Iraq drew, but because Saudi had more goals for than Iraq did, Saudi went to the World Cup again, qualifying automatically, I believe, for the 3rd tournament in a row, which is shout out to them. They are actually hosting a World Cup 2034, for those who don't know, and Iraq went to the playoff against the UAE, which was settled over the last couple of days and ended on Tuesday. This tie is psychotic, and I absolutely love it. In essence, the first leg could put you to sleep. The first match was a 1-1, and it was decided inside the first 20 minutes. Al-Hamidi for Iraq scored the opener, and the UAE were able to get their equalizer. By the way, it was 2-legged ties. The first leg was held in Abu Dhabi. The second was held in Basra, Iraq, which is kind of crazy with everything going on in the world. So the UAE and Iraq draw the first match. In the second match, the UAE scored with Kala Lucas. And UAE were in the driver's seat until the 66th minute when Ali scored to tie it at 1. Overall in the match, 2-2 on aggregate. And then Iraq, in the 100 I forgot what minute it was, got a penalty. The UAE with a stupid foul. Penalty Iraq. They score the penalty in the 100. Are you ready, chat? The 107th minute. 107th. To go to the Intercontinental playoff. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Total nonsense. Iraq going to the playoff. They deserve to go to the playoff. I mean, the amount of times Iraq had a chance to they really didn't have a chance to automatically qualify ever in this whole thing. With their draw in the 3rd round, they got kind of screwed because they missed by 1 point to Jordan. In the 4th round, they missed by 2 goals to Saudi. And now they finally get to go to the Intercontinental playoff and try and qualify out of a bracket that we'll go over later. So Iraq, welcome to the Intercontinental playoff. They actually, at this point, joined Bolivia, who were the final team out of South America. And they joined New Caledonia because fucking why not? Next continent, Africa. When we last were together, we only knew one team that qualified. And we didn't get to talk about anything controversial, which kind of sucked because we had a lot of fun, not BS to talk about. But let's go over it right now. We're going to start in Group A. And when we were last with them, Egypt essentially qualified. It was Egypt, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. The problem was with Burkina Faso. They had to win both of their final matches to have a chance to qualify through the African playoff. And they went out and grabbed maximum points, and they finished on 21 points. Egypt also had like win a match. They did. And they finished on 26 points. Fair play to Egypt. They're going to the World Cup again. They didn't lose a match. They won 8, drew 2, conceded only 2 goals the whole series, which is kind of psychotic. But Burkina Faso, give them credit. They only lost 1 match, which I believe was to Sierra Leone, which, oh no, they lost to Egypt, right? I believe they lost to Egypt. Nonetheless, Burkina Faso ended on 21 points. And if it was the normal series, the normal sequence of events, that would have been good enough. But hold on, there was a changing of the rules, or like a rule no one knew about, that will go over why Burkina Faso were in trouble at this point. Group B was kind of weird. Senegal and DR Congo were essentially deadlocked the whole time. And it would come down to one of the final match days, where the DR Congo had to play Senegal. And because life sucks sometimes, the DR Congo went out and blew a 2-0 lead inside of an hour, because Gueye, Jackson, and Sarr scored 3 goals for Senegal. And Senegal, who were on the back the whole time, leapfrogged the DR Congo back in September. They then had to play matches in October. They beat South Sudan 5-0, because why not? And then they went out and massacred Mauritania 4-0 in Senegal to qualify for the World Cup. The DR Congo, who were very unlucky to not qualify automatically out of this group, I don't know how they bottled it, finished on 22 points, which, by the way, does get them into the African playoff. We'll talk more about them later. They're actually one of our protagonists today. Shout out to Sudan. They actually had a very good fight, but fell apart in the end. And also shout out to Togo for winning 1 match and still getting 8 points. That's actually very respectable for Togo. A country that one of my friends thought was called a pogo stick went out and grabbed 8 points in 10 matches. Group C, we're going to hold on for Group C. Group D, we talked about this actually in one of my radio shows episodes, which is kind of funny. And it was the battle between Cape Verde and Cameroon. And Jesus Christ, I love this so much. Tiny islands making the World Cup just makes me feel some sort of way. And if you know me, I talked about this in person a lot. And it was Cape Verde and Cameroon. This is where it started. In one of the final matches, the situation was simple. Cape Verde have never made the World Cup before, at least to my knowledge. And they are those tiny band of islands off the west coast of Africa that no one talks about. And at one point, the last time we talked about them, they just came off beating Angola 2-1 back in March. And they entered September needing to beat Mauritius and win a couple other big matches, including one to Cameroon in the middle of September. Well, they beat Mauritius. They didn't look good doing it, setting up the duel with Cameroon after they went out and beat up on Eswatini. And if you remember from the videos from last year, we remember that Eswatini drew Cameroon 0-0. Cameroon get their revenge, winning 3-0 in Yaoundé, setting up a duel in Cape Verde, in correct terms, in Cabo Verde, and Cape Verde won. Livramento scored in the 54th minute. It was a terrible, terrible match. And Cape Verde were in the driver's seat for the second time in the whole thing. Cape Verde also almost blew it. They drew Libya 3-3. But then they went out and won their final match, which they had to win against Eswatini, which, if you forget where Eswatini is, it's that one of those small countries inside of South Africa, along with Lesotho, who are also part of one of the problems with this whole thing. Cape Verde won. They looked terrible doing it. They scored 3 second-half goals against Eswatini. But Cape Verde, we're going to the World Cup. Cameroon, we'll find out their fate in a bit. They finished second. Libya, very respectable effort despite doing a lot of nonsense, getting 16 points, and Angola for completely blowing it, because that at one point they were leading this group. Mauritius and Eswatini. Shout out to Eswatini for getting 3 points for being as small as they are. That's kind of respectable. Group E were the group of 5 teams, because Eritrea, if you go search up the stuff with Eritrea, it's actually kind of horrible what's going on there, but Eritrea couldn't play any matches for obvious reasons. The Congo were suspended for like this group made no sense. The Congo were suspended. They were out of it. Shout out to Zambia for being terrible. I don't know what the hell their deal is, but they went out and only won 3 matches against Niger, Tanzania, and Congo. Sure, bro. Go on. Morocco won all 8 matches. They qualified back in March. We don't need to talk about this group. Though, shout out Niger for finishing second. And at one point, we're in a qualifying position for the playoff. They didn't get it, obviously. But we'll talk about, again, they were actually in a playoff spot for a very long time. So, shout out Niger. Group F was the group with Ivory Coast and Gabon. And these two, sure, like, they were battling it to the end. Gabon, a.k.a. the Fighting Pierre-Emerick Aubameyangs. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, if you remember from this year, scored 4 goals against the team I had finishing second in this group, the Gambia, who were completely disappointing and were god-awful. Last time we were with them, Ivory Coast were in that really weird spot where they had to beat Burundi because I was saying like how Burundi's actually competent. Well, they did beat Burundi. They looked bad doing it, winning 1-0 in Abidjan. And Gabon beat the Seychelles, which another weird island in the Indian Ocean. Shout out to them. They have the coolest flag. But while they got their butts kicked in Mauritius, which, sure, bro, that set up a series in September where Ivory Coast or Gabon, if they won, would be in complete control. No one won. The game ended 0-0. And that put Ivory Coast in the driver's seat because they went out and won 7-0 against Seychelles. Gabon beat the Gambia. On the final match day, Gabon had to beat Burundi and Ivory Coast not beat Kenya. That didn't happen. Ivory Coast beat Kenya. Gabon did beat Burundi. But at one point, Ivory Coast scored. Burundi was holding their own against Gabon. If Gabon did not win their match, they would have been in possible danger for missing the playoff. Gabon were the best team to make the playoff. They went out and finished on 25 points and didn't qualify. So tough scenes for Gabon, but very respectable campaign. They went out and beat Burundi 2-0 on the last day. Ivory Coast makes it through on 26 points, and they were sweating it out to the end. 8 wins and 2 draws. Gabon had 8 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, with their only loss being to Ivory Coast, while Ivory Coast was busy drawing Kenya. On the flip side, in their next group, Group G, Algeria kind of set themselves apart earlier on. Uganda, Mozambique were around in the conversation at one point. But in the end, I'll keep it simple. Algeria went out and took care of business. Uganda, shout out to them. They finished second in this group with a positive goal difference, while Mozambique, who have, I believe, a gun in their flag, went out and finished third, getting 6 wins from 10. That's actually very respectable. Shout out Botswana for winning 3 random matches. Sure. Group H was settled by Tunisia. They won this a while ago. Namibia, Liberia, Malawi, and the disappointment known as Equatorial Guinea, who, if they didn't lose their 2 matches, would have actually been in conversation for the playoff. So, unfortunate break for Equatorial Guinea. And now it's time for the group we've been waiting for, Group C. It was the group with South Africa, Benin, Nigeria, Lesotho, Rwanda, and Zimbabwe. Nigeria were out of it the whole time, it felt like. Nigeria, if you remember, they opened it up by drawing Lesotho after going behind to Lesotho. South Africa took care of business early against Benin, and then Nigeria went out and drew Zimbabwe, which, what the fuck is that? Like, seriously. I know I'm not supposed to curse in these videos, and I know that. We've already had some what the F results, like Cameroon. Remember last time we Cameroon drew Eswatini. In this situation, I think Nigeria went out and freaking beat Rwanda, but then lost to Benin again. So Benin were dominating everyone, and this group was making no sense. And then entering the final window, because South Africa had a game taken away. They fielded an ineligible player against Lesotho. So South Africa were in trouble. Lesotho getting 3 points put Benin at the top of the group. Nigeria were busy drawing Zimbabwe again, setting up a matchup between Benin and Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and a Rwanda team that were still in it. South Africa beat Lesotho again, for real this time. But that led to Nigeria having to beat Rwanda. They did, and that led to Benin beating Zimbabwe. We'll get to why Nigeria, Benin, and South Africa are important in a second. Nigeria drew South Africa. Benin beat Lesotho, setting up a matchup where if freaking Benin, man, what the hell are you doing? Benin went out and beat Rwanda. Good for them. Nigeria beat Lesotho this time after almost blowing it. And South Africa drew Zimbabwe. So going to the final match day, South Africa and Benin were going for top of the group. But oh, wait a minute. There was a rule change that no one went over. And it goes back to our friends from Eritrea. Because there is a team not playing any matches and the team in that group like Niger, Tanzania, and all them having to play less matches, the matches against the worst team in the group got taken away from your final tally if you're going for the second place table, which means Nigeria get back into it because they've only drawn Zimbabwe. So because they only had 2 points taken away rather than 6, Nigeria were in this. Nigeria, a team that we were absolutely roasting in the last time we were talking about this. Like, oh, they suck. They've done nothing. Cool. Like, hold on. Like, sure, Nigeria were now thrown into the battle with Benin and South Africa. And what makes it even weirder is that if Nigeria beat Benin on the last day, Nigeria would have leapfrogged everyone and possibly qualified automatically if South Africa lost to Rwanda. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. South Africa did their job. They won the group, actually. Shout out to them. But then we go back to our matchup between Nigeria and Benin. A matchup in Uyo that had everyone watching for 3 minutes because Nigeria scored and then scored again and again and again. Nigeria won 4-0. And they went out and beat Benin and sent themselves magically to the playoff, eliminating a Burkina Faso team that ended on 21 points, while Nigeria ended on 17. It's bogus. I don't understand it. I kind of do at the same time. It's kind of stupid. I hate it. I freaking hate it. They really. So we'll look at the second place table. Just to recap, Namibia, Uganda were in it. Madagascar had a chance, but they went out and lost 2. And we had 5 teams on 15 points because of points being taken away. Gabon and the DR Congo were safe. It was a battle between Cameroon, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso because Niger's goal difference wasn't going to. Because Niger entered the final day with them being in the playoff. But because of the freaking result with Nigeria, Burkina Faso misses out by 1 goal. Singular goal. I couldn't believe it either. But because Burkina Faso went out and conceded a goal in the window and Nigeria didn't, Burkina Faso is out by 1 goal in a situation where Burkina Faso would have been completely safe if everything was normal. Bogus. Hate it. That sets up the playoff where we have Nigeria against Gabon, Cameroon against the DR Congo. We'll start off with Nigeria, who scored, as did Gabon. It was 1-1 going to extra time. Unfortunately, the football gods wanted Nigeria to win. It ended 4-1 because Nigeria scored 3 goals in extra time. Cameroon played DR Congo. DR Congo scored a goal. Cameroon didn't. It ended 1-0. Our playoff final was Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The DR Congo have not made the World Cup, I believe, since 1974, like around that time when they were called Zaire. And Nigeria missed the last World Cup. A country that has brought such great footballers as Victor Boniface, Victor Osimhen. You could make a full page in a regular textbook, an American textbook, like a full glossary index page of notable current Nigerian players. So naturally, they go out and it's 1-1. They go to extra time. It goes to penalties. DR Congo scored 4. Nigeria missed 2 of them. It was terrible. One hit, I believe, hit off the crossbar. And the DR Congo, for the first time ever, I believe the first time ever going to the playoff. I don't know. I don't really know the history of the DR Congo. All I know is shout out to them. They get a 2-clap applause. They're going to the World Cup Intercontinental Playoff, whatever the fuck it's called now. DR Congo going to the playoff. Shout out to them. They deserve it. It's awesome. I back it. Africa, wild. But don't worry, it's about to get way more crazy. It's time for CONCACAF. And when we left CONCACAF was actually, we were talking about the draw, and we were hyping up our boys from Curacao. And we will, so for me, I've been hyping up Curacao for a couple of months prior to the last video and streams we did, because Curacao only started, I believe, World Cup qualifying in like 2012. And let's search up the Curacao national setup. Because the national team of Curacao, like, for those who don't know, the countries in the southern part of Central America are more known for it being a tourist attraction or a baseball hotbed. Because if you don't know anything about geopolitics or geography, I got you. Curacao used to be part of the Dutch Antilles in the southern part right above the coast of Venezuela. And eventually, Curacao became Curacao, which is awesome. But if you look at their competitive record overall as Curacao, their first World Cup qualifying run as Curacao was in 2014. Curacao, like, it's unbelievable. They were the Netherlands Antilles for World Cups such as Chile, England, Mexico. We can go on and on for this. With their last run being in 2010. And they were not good in World Cup qualifying 2010. Which brings us to right now. A Curacao team that had a decent performance at the Gold Cup. I was hyping them up. I thought they could have gotten out of the Gold Cup group. Unfortunately, Canada exists. That didn't happen. Curacao, I mean, they drew freaking El Salvador 0-0. We watched that game on stream. And I was like, damn, they might be in trouble. But oh, wait a minute. Curacao causing problems off the top rope, after losing to Honduras, which I'm fine. They draw Canada, they draw El Salvador, you lose to Honduras, which broke my heart. I love the Honduran national team, but why did you have to be Curacao? Like, come on, man. Curacao, we're going to go over the Curacao group first because this was the least chaotic. Curacao were thrown into a group with Jamaica, Trinidad, and Bermuda. And for reference, Bermuda, we talked about this on stream. What the fuck, man? Like, Bermuda in World Cup qualifying. Bermuda. Yes, love it. They went out and beat Cuba on the last day, and it was awesome. And we were going to stream it. Unfortunately, my Wi-Fi broke, and we didn't get to go over it. But that did bring up a situation in Group B where Curacao, Jamaica, Bermuda, and Trinidad all were in that final group in the third round. And it opened up with Curacao freaking bottling it to Trinidad. I was so sad because I wanted Curacao to lose one match, beat Jamaica once, and I thought they were going to go to the playoff. I thought they were guaranteed to go to the playoff. Well, they drew in Port of Spain against Trinidad. Jamaica beat Bermuda 4-0, setting up a second match where Curacao were tied at the half against Bermuda. It was 2-2. Curacao scored 2 goals early, courtesy of Heath Chung. Bermuda responded with 2 of their own. It was a Nuslin winner for Curacao. That ended the September window. In October, Trinidad beat Bermuda. And then we had my favorite match of the whole thing in Willemstad, Curacao. It was Curacao against Jamaica, the first one. And I was glued to the screen chat. I wanted Curacao to win. You all know my love for the tiny islands. And Jesus Christ, Curacao won. Curacao. Hell yeah. And I was going to make a video. But because of my club president requirements and broadcast stuff, I didn't have time. I haven't had time till right now. And boy, oh boy, Curacao with Coleman-Enciat and Gordy, 2 players I was hyping up in the freaking Gold Cup. Good. Love it. So naturally you would think, they just beat Jamaica. They're playing Trinidad again. You would think they'd beat Trinidad. They didn't. They drew Trinidad after going up 1-0. They freaking drew Trinidad. And I was so upset because Jamaica beat Bermuda and had the goal difference. Curacao had to score like 6 against Bermuda to have a chance. And they won 7-0 in November. And that brought all the vibes back because Trinidad went out and saved the day for the people rooting for Curacao by drawing Jamaica. Sifa scored for Jamaica, and then a late equalizer, 85th minute from Molino, got Curacao a chance. And all Curacao needed to do on the last day was draw or beat Jamaica in Kingston. By the way, Bermuda got their first ever World Cup point. 2 claps for Bermuda. They went out and drew Trinidad. Trinidad had 4 draws. Against Jamaica, they drew at least each team once. They had 1 win. Did they lose a match? Hold on. I actually am intrigued about it. Did Trinidad lose a match? They lost once to Jamaica. They had 4 draws and a win. That's crazy. Their only win being at Bermuda. They couldn't win a home match. Sure. But we go to Kingston, and it was 0-0. And there was a late moment where Jamaica got a penalty. Ivan Barton, the referee from El Salvador, points to the spot. Penalty Jamaica. It was a very soft call. I actually thought it was terrible. But I was watching it in my dorm room on my phone. I'm like, no, Curaçao's going to go to the playoff, while I was watching everything else going on, because there's another team that just conceded right when this happened, and that eliminated another team. But we'll go over that in a second. The penalty gets overturned. So there's no penalty. And because it was a Curaçao player fouling a Jamaica, it was a Jamaica penalty, but it gets waved off in the end by VAR. And Curaçao, for the first time, are going to the World Cup as the smallest team ever to go. They have broken Iceland's record. I said it was going to be broken. I thought it was going to possibly be Curaçao, and my God, Curaçao have done it. I want a jersey. I've been following the hype with this national team. I've been backing them for a minute, and Jesus Christ, they actually did it. Hell yeah, Curaçao. Y'all deserve it. You're going to the World Cup. You're coming to the States. I love it. I freaking love it. They're going to Mexico, the States, or Canada. One of the 3. But Curaçao are going to be one of the lowest ranked team to play in the tournament this year. I am so happy for them. They deserve it. They really deserve it. A Curaçao team that will get some well-known players and possibly help. Maybe something happens in the future, but this could be a Curaçao national setup that could see some glory years coming up. Maybe be one of the better teams in lower Central America. Aruba and Barbados, they do nothing. Curaçao just made the World Cup. The Bonaire doesn't even get to play in this thing because I don't even remember why. I think they're a territory like Guadeloupe and Martinique. They can't even qualify for this. But regardless, Curaçao going to the World Cup. Unbelievable. I know. It's even for me, it's still hard to believe that Curaçao did it. But shout out to them. They went out and did it. Now time for the real madness. It was we'll start with Group A. It was the group of Panama, Guatemala, Suriname, and El Salvador. We'll recap the whole group. So Suriname opened it up, we thought they could maybe do something. They looked okay recently. Suriname, who knows? They were in a group with 2 teams that would totally back themselves to qualify out of this in Panama and Guatemala. So naturally, Panama draws Suriname. And at the same minute, Guatemala lose to El Salvador at home. They're not playing in San Salvador, that big stadium that everyone fears for some reason. No. Great start. And then we continue to get World Cup qualifying injected into my veins when Panama conceded and then scored immediately afterwards against Guatemala to earn themselves a draw. Great draw, by the way. I wouldn't be mad at that draw if you're either team. It could have gone either way. I watched that game back. It was nuts. It was everything. I'm still speechless about it. It was great, and I love it. At the same time, Suriname goes to San Salvador and wins. At the end of September, it was Suriname who were in control. But then they bottled it. They bottled it by drawing Guatemala, but they kept themselves in it in the whole qualifying series by scoring a 94th minute goal to get a draw in Paramaribo, excuse me. And then Panama go out and beat El Salvador on the road. So making my point really irrelevant. More chaos later in the month when Suriname had to play Panama. And Suriname scored. It was 1-0 for like almost a whole match. And then a 96th minute equalizer by Diaz to get a draw in Panama City. And while that was happening, home teams were just bad when Guatemala scored right off the jump to start the second half against El Salvador in San Salvador. So Guatemala won, which eliminated El Salvador, setting up a final day bit of BS. It wasn't BS. It was awesome between Panama and El Salvador and Guatemala against Suriname. Panama won 3-0. They did their job. They won the group. They're going to the World Cup on 12 points. Suriname were in second, and they were up at least in an intercontinental playoff spot. And they controlled their own destiny, being favored to win against a Guatemalan team that did not look convincing. And Tuesday night, Guatemala were 3-0 up right before the final whistle. But a late cross that was finished off by their own teammate, it was an own goal by Samayoa, and put Suriname in a position. Suriname were out. They were going to miss the playoff. They were like tied, and they were behind by 1 goal. But an own goal, 93rd minute, put Suriname into the intercontinental playoff with Jamaica, who, by the way, did make the intercontinental playoff. Suriname going to the playoff. Yes, more weirdness. But I back it. I love it. I mean, that Suriname team doesn't mess around. They're a great setup. They have a great tactic. They got a good bit of young players. They're fun to watch. And they're a team that could cause some problems in the intercontinental playoff. There's only, I believe, 1 or 2 good teams in the whole thing. And right now, from the teams we met, it would be Iraq and the DR Congo. I would say so far the best teams in there. So a lot can happen in that mix. But Suriname, I think, could mess around with. We'll meet the draw for it in a bit. But Suriname going to the playoff, awesome. Which goes to Group C, and we'll meet the team that got heartbroken in the end, and that would be Honduras. And I feel horrible for them. Honduras opened up with a draw in Curacao. By the way, Haiti couldn't play matches in Haiti. It's Haiti, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Honduras. We opened it up in Willemstad with Haiti drawing Honduras. Costa Rica then went out and bottled it. They drew Nicaragua off a penalty by Bonilla. Costa Rica then bottled it again. They went 3-2 down at home against Haiti. Late goal from Vargas. The 91st minute got Costa Rica back in it. Honduras went out and beat Nicaragua. Great result for them. Haiti then beat Nicaragua. Honduras drew Costa Rica, essentially putting Costa Rica in a significant bit of trouble because they are on 3 points off 3 draws. Things got very dire for Costa Rica later on, but not before they went out and beat Nicaragua 4-1, before Honduras beat Haiti 3-0. Great win for Honduras. They were leading the group, but oh, wait a minute, a change in the tale. Haiti beat Costa Rica, eliminating one of the better teams in World Cup qualifying recent memory from Central America, not named Panama. Costa Rica were out. Nicaragua then went out and beat Honduras. Why? It was their only win of the whole thing, was Nicaragua beating Honduras, which sets up a final day between Costa Rica and Honduras and Haiti playing Nicaragua. Honduras had to win and Haiti had to lose, and neither happened. Haiti went out and scored 2 goals in the first half against Nicaragua, Honduras did nothing. And because of that result, Haiti, a team that didn't even play in their own country for the whole thing, a country that is in somewhat turmoil right now, like there's a bunch of articles on this, with a manager that has never been to the country, is going to the World Cup, winning Group C by 2 points because Honduras went out and lost at Nicaragua. And because of that late moment with Suriname, Honduras were the team that missed out by 1 goal. I almost cried. I felt so bad for them. Honduras was a team that I had winning the group. I think I picked Honduras to win the group. They were that good. They're a team that I thought would be a great matchup against any of the teams in the playoff, in the Intercontinental Playoff, or would be a fun matchup for most teams in the World Cup. But no, it's CONCACAF magic. Haiti are going to the World Cup. And I feel, as much as I feel bad for Honduras, I feel so happy. I'm so happy for Haiti. They only made the World Cup once in 1974, and they did not win a match. They conceded 14 goals in 3 matches. That's actually kind of nuts. The point being, they have not qualified for a World Cup in over 50 years. Welcome back to the World Cup, Haiti. Awesome. I love it. That's freaking awesome. I love that. Haiti to the World Cup. Unbelievable. CONCACAF was peak CONCACAF. Africa was as entertaining as possible. South America was great. Freaking Bolivia went out and made it to the Intercontinental Playoff. By the way, we can now meet our Intercontinental Playoff teams. Because of the way things go, and because Europe doesn't have any teams going to it, we can meet our teams going to the playoff. And it's our teams. To meet our teams first. We have the 5th round winner of Asia in Iraq, the 2nd round winner of Africa, the DR Congo, the best 2 group runners up in the 3rd round of CONCACAF, Jamaica and Suriname, CONMEBOL's 7th place team, Bolivia, and the runners up in Oceania, New Caledonia. The matches, beautiful. This draw is awesome. Path 1, we have Jamaica taking on New Caledonia. Oh my God, I love it. I'm like, this is peak me, like the games I would watch. Jamaica against New Caledonia on March 26th in Zapopan? Where is this? It's in Mexico. Okay, they're playing in Mexico. I forgot about that. And the winner will play the DR Congo, and the winner of that goes to the World Cup as one of the final teams. In the other draw, we have Bolivia, the team that doesn't play defense, against another team that doesn't defend, in Suriname. The winner of that will play Iraq in Guadalupe, Mexico. Oh boy. I love the bottom one. I mean, I would back Iraq into DR Congo to easily win this. You got to win 1 match. You go to the whole thing. You go to the World Cup, which is awesome. If I had to pick any of these teams that would cause the most problems, I would say Suriname. I mean, they're the best one of the 4. Bolivia are great, but they can't defend when they're not on a mountain. Is Guadalupe's one on a mountain? The Steel Giant. Oh, no, they're not playing in where I think they're playing. Okay, so they're not playing. I don't think they're playing in the one on the mountains. So, or in the mountains. You get what I mean. So, because of this, I would back Suriname to cause problems. I don't think they'll beat Iraq, but I don't think Jamaica or New Caledonia would beat the DR Congo. So, I think Suriname would be the team that would cause the most issues. Because it's a neutral site game. Suriname have all the momentum. They got in barely. And because of World Cup magic, I would back Suriname, who are playing another team that got in at the last second in Bolivia. This is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait for this. But we still have to go through Europe and the draw for the World Cup on December 5th from the Kennedy Center. So let's go to UEFA, because there's a bunch of nonsense here. And we will start off one of our 16, or whatever, how many group, or one of our 12 groups with Group A, which was Germany, Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg. Northern Ireland were in a very particular position because they were one of the teams that won their Nations League group. So they actually, could make the playoff by doing nothing. Well, Northern Ireland went out in their opening match and they beat Luxembourg. And because the world is weird, Slovakia beat Germany, and that put Germany in a spot where they would have made the playoff no matter what if they somehow didn't make it, because they went out and won their Group A, the League A Nations League group. Excuse me. In the second round of matches, Slovakia beat Luxembourg, Germany beat Northern Ireland. Things kind of returned to normal. Then Northern Ireland beat Slovakia. And then Germany beat Luxembourg, setting up a matchup between Germany and Northern Ireland in Belfast, where Germany had to win, or Northern Ireland would be in the driver's seat with 2 matches to go. And Germany did win, with Woltemata scoring in the 31st minute. Slovakia beat Luxembourg, setting up a matchup between Germany, a duel between Germany and Slovakia, who would go to the World Cup. Germany beat Luxembourg. Slovakia needed a 91st minute winner against Northern Ireland, setting up a final day duel with the Germans and Slovakia. And it goes to the Germans, who go out and win 6-0 against Slovakia to go to the World. They qualify again for the World Cup. Slovakia go to the playoff, finishing second, and Northern Ireland, because they were one of the best Nations League winners, are going to the UEFA, the Euros playoff that we actually can talk about today. In Group B, we meet our first new favorite team of the channel in Kosovo. Ah, yes, Kosovo. And we started to fall in love with Kosovo because Sweden drew Slovenia, and I thought Slovenia was going to be the team that we were going to fall in love with here. After drawing in Ljubljana. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. If someone from Slovenia is in the chat, can you tell me how to say that Slovenian city? I still have no idea. Sweden drew Slovenia. Switzerland beat Kosovo. And then Kosovo, because they can, beat Sweden. I don't know what to tell you for that one. Sweden lost to Kosovo. Switzerland beat Slovenia. And then Kosovo backed their first result by drawing Slovenia. Switzerland go to Solna and beat Sweden. Switzerland were destroying this group, but hold on. There was a late rally from the red-hot Kosovo national team. They beat Sweden again, then they beat Slovenia. Switzerland beat Sweden, and on the last day, Kosovo took all of our hearts and were this close to being actually really competitive against Sweden. They draw the last match. Kosovo finished second on 11 points. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's their best run ever in this. I have no idea. I have never really looked at the freaking national team. They became a FIFA. Oh, yeah, it's 100% their best run. They finished in second in their group going to the playoff. It's their first time not finishing fifth or worse. They finished sixth as in their first ever qualifying run as a FIFA member, and fifth in their previous one for Qatar, before finishing in second in their new format. At this point, they are part of the Kingdom, and they were part of Yugoslavia, and then not a FIFA member, but they were under something called the United Nations Interim they're under something of Kosovo. And they weren't a FIFA member for a bit, and then they became a FIFA member, and they went out and got some results, which is pretty fun. So shout out to Kosovo, Sweden, because they won their group, their Nations League group, even though they finished on 2 points, are also going to the playoff, which is kind of humiliating for everyone else. Next group, I have no idea what group we're in. Nice. Group C, Scotland and Denmark. Yes, this group. In essence, Scotland and Denmark drew their opening match, and then we knew it was going to be a duel between those two. Greece beat Belarus. Scotland beat Belarus. Denmark beat Greece. Then they did it again. And then this is where this got confusing. Scotland beat Belarus, which is fair, and Denmark beat Greece. But then in November, we had an opportunity for one of these teams to qualify, and that would be Denmark. They're playing Belarus. Greece were hosting Scotland. Greece beat Scotland, and we're up 3-0 at one point. They almost bottled it. They still won 3-2. But it was a duel between Denmark and Belarus. And it was Belarus who went out and pulled off the miraculous draw, which put Denmark under pressure by Scotland. That kept Scotland in it, and Scotland took advantage. Know how? By beating Denmark in the craziest game of the day. It was 2-2. Dorgu scored to break Scotland's heart. They thought it was over, but then the former Arsenal man, Kieran Tierney, who's now at Celtic, scores at Hampden Park. And then a goal from the midfield line by McLean sends Scotland to the World Cup automatically and will send Denmark, a nation that people back to possibly be a World Cup underdog, to win the whole thing in 2022 to the playoff. Scenes. That's not even the craziest one we were talking about. Freaking Scotland, like, they're unbelievable. That's awesome. I'm so happy for them. Group D, we'll briefly go over this. The only thing, France qualified automatically. That's cool. And it was a duel at the end between Ukraine and Iceland. An Iceland team that at one point were the smallest country to ever make the World Cup. We actually have a big fandom for Iceland. I have a little bit of a fandom for Iceland now. They were taking on Ukraine, who also are a very good, respectable national team. Ukraine won, knocked out Iceland. Ukraine's going to the playoff. Group E, more or less the same. Turkey went out and beat up on Georgia and Bulgaria, a Georgia team that I thought could maybe upset Turkey. They didn't. Georgia won one match against Bulgaria, and then they lost to Bulgaria. Spain went out and won 5 of 6 matches with a plus 19 goal difference. Next. All right. Next is Group F, which is Portugal, Ireland, Hungary, and Armenia. If you recall what I said in the last video, I believe I said Hungary, there should be no reason they don't make the playoff. Well, guess what? They didn't. Hungary went out and bottled this in Group F, and it started very predictably. You know, Portugal beating Armenia, Ireland scoring a 93rd minute equalizer against Hungary to draw 2-2. And then Portugal beat Hungary 3-2 off a late winner by João Cancelo. And then Ireland just losing to Armenia, an Armenian team that are not great. Oh, by the way, about Ireland, remember that Icelandic coach who was like the dentist? He's the coach of Ireland now, and he led the comeback. Ireland, who didn't get to start the comeback against Portugal, they lost on a winner from Ruben Neves. Hungary beat Armenia 2-0. We thought Ireland were out of it. They needed a win, and they needed Hungary to get 1 point to have a chance. Ireland beat Armenia 1-0. Ewan Ferguson with the winner. And then a late goal from Szoboszlai saved a point for Hungary. And that game ended 2-2. That sent us to November, a moment where Hungary needed to beat Armenia and then needed to grab multiple points, I believe, against Ireland. Well, Hungary beat Armenia. It was not a good match. Now, Ireland had to beat Portugal now. A Portuguese team led by Ronaldo, who promptly got sent off. Ireland scored 2 goals courtesy of their new hero, Troy Parrott, as he helps soar Ireland into the final match day where they had to play Hungary in Budapest. By the way, Portugal beat Armenia 9-1. We'll not talk about that. This was the match of the group, of the whole thing, of the whole confederation, the whole day, the whole final round of qualifying in UEFA. Ireland and Hungary. Hungary opened the scoring with Lukacs, and it was 1-0. Team led by Dominic Szoboszlai and a couple other notable players. Milos Kerkez, also on Liverpool. And then it was a penalty. Just a regular goal for Ireland. Makes it 1-1. But Varga scores for Hungary. 2-1 going to the half. Parrott, by the way, the 15th minute goal was a penalty. Then Troy Parrott scores again. It's 2-2 in the 80th minute. And then on the last kick of the game, a ball knocked into the box, a scramble, and it's kicked in by Troy Parrott, who has 5 goals, 5, in this final match, this final November window. And Ireland, in a miraculous comeback, are going to the European playoff on the last day. An Ireland team that we thought were down and out, and they went on and grabbed 2 wins at the end despite only scoring 9 goals in 6 matches. By the way, how many? That's a great question. How many goals did Parrott score? Troy Parrott scored 5 goals in the whole thing. All of them were in the November window. And Ireland, unbelievably, are going to the European playoff. Nuts. Group G, we'll keep it short. Poland had a chance, but the Netherlands are good. Finland just went out and lost to Malta. I don't know how to feel about that one yet, but Malta, sure. They went out and beat a team that made the Euros recently. They made Euro 2021. Is it Euro 2020 or Euro 2021, chat? I don't know what it is. Lithuania went out and got a couple of draws. But the Netherlands are going through. Poland are going to the playoff again. Then we got this group. Oh, boy. Group H. Austria, Bosnia, Romania, Cyprus, and San Marino. Cyprus got their 2 wins against San Marino like everyone else did. But we go out and meet our friends from Romania, Bosnia, and Austria. These were the focal points of this group. And it started off naturally with Bosnia beating the team that I thought could maybe even win the group, Romania. Because why not? Austria didn't play off the jump, if you remember, because they were in the I think they were in the Nations League playoff or something. Bosnia beat Romania, then Bosnia beat Cyprus. Romania went out and beat San Marino. Everything was normal. We get to June. Austria beat Romania. Very good result. Bosnia beat San Marino. Then Romania beat Cyprus, and Austria beat San Marino. This sets up a September window in a matchup between Austria. Austria played Cyprus. Austria beat Cyprus because of a Sabitzer penalty. That was a bad match for Austria. Bosnia beat San Marino, which sets up our duel between Austria and Bosnia and Herzegovina, the first one. And it was an early goal from Marcel Sabitzer in the second half before Edin Dzeko scored, and then Konrad Leimer scores the winner to get Austria all 3 points. Then Cyprus get a draw. They went out and draw Romania, which puts Romania in a very dire position because of the playoff, Romania would qualify, but they would be in a really bad spot. Austria then beat San Marino 10-0. Take that how you will. Cyprus just drawing Bosnia. Apparently, Cyprus got quality now. And I back it. And that put Austria in the driver's seat. They thought they were going to be through easily. But then they lose on a 95th minute winner by Romania in Bucharest. San Marino then lose 4-0 in Sarajevo against Cyprus. But it sets up a November window where Bosnia had to beat Romania and then beat Austria to make it to the World Cup. Well, Austria had to get a win and at least a draw against Bosnia. Well, both of the first 2 things happened. Austria beat Cyprus, Bosnia beat Romania, setting up a last day duel between Austria and Bosnia. And my God, this match was great. Tabakovic scored for Bosnia on the road in Vienna, Austria, which put a lot of pressure on the Austrian Giants. But a late goal, 77th minute equalizer by, I'm going to try and say this name right, Gregoric. Yes or no if I got that right. He scored, got the equalizer for Austria. And because of that, Austria won the group. If you take a look at the final table, you want to take a look at it at home. Austria finishes the top of the group on 19 points. Bosnia gets 17, but are going to the playoff, and Romania on 13 points are actually going to the playoff as well via the Nations League. So very good play to Romania, who I thought were down and out of it, but they actually got to move on via the playoff. We only have a couple of groups left, and we can go read all 42 of the teams that have qualified. Next group, Group I. This was the group with Norway and Italy. All right, we're to talk some shit now, chat. Are you ready? We're going to diss the Italian national team. There's one thing I don't like, and at the end of the day, right, the Italian national team. If you don't know what's going on with them right now, well, let me pull up my notes. Let me learn you real quick, chat. The Italian national team have not made the last two World Cups. They missed it in Russia. They missed it in Qatar. And they were in a position to possibly miss it again. And they are thrown in a group with a robot and a playmaking star in Norway, led by Holland and Odegaard. And immediately, Italy were under pressure. You go out and get BTA against freaking Norway, and you're immediately in trouble. Norway won the group in the second match day, or like one of the in the first match day for Italy. Norway beat Moldova. This group had Israel, Estonia, and Moldova in it. Norway beat Israel in the second match day. They did concede twice. They beat Moldova 5-0 in the beginning. But then Norway in Oslo give BTA to Italy. A 3-0 win for the Norwegians. And then Italy were under pressure, but they scored 2 goals. They beat Moldova. Good result for them. Norway beat Estonia courtesy of Erling Haaland. In September, Israel beat Moldova. Italy beat Estonia, which sets up the duel between Israel and Italy. And my Lord, this is where I lost all credibility for the Italian national team. It was these 10 minutes against Israel that did it for me. Own goal by Locatelli opens the scoring for Israel. Then Moise Kean scores, not once but twice. But this guy Petitz scores in the 52nd minute. After Kean scores his second, it's 3-2 already. Then Politano scores. Correction, now it's 3-2. Then they get a goal from Raspadori, makes it 4-2. But wait, it's not over. Because Bastoni with an own goal himself makes it 4-3. And then Petitz scores again. It's 4-4. But then a late winner from Sandro Tonali gets the point in Debrecen, wherever this is, to grab all 3 points for Italy. Okay. Then Norway, they needed to win by like 1 million goals. So naturally they did, winning 11-1. 11-1 for Norway. Then they beat Israel 5-0. Italy won against Estonia. It wasn't pretty. At the end, Israel and Italy played again. Matteo Retegui scored a couple times. Mancini scored. Italy then beat Moldova, but it wasn't pretty. They needed 2 late goals. Norway beat Estonia. And on the last day, Norway played Italy again. And it was Norway who went behind and still scored 4 goals. They went out and won in Milan 4-1. Israel beat Moldova 4-1. So Israel finished on a very respectable 12 points, beating Estonia and Moldova twice, as they should. Moldova and Estonia each getting at least 1 point, with Estonia beating Moldova the other time. But I gotta say this. A lot of complaints from Italy. And Gennaro Gattuso. I don't like you, man. Gattuso's a very interesting guy. And we're going to do a little bit of light reading today. Because he went out and made this comment after Italy chased survival. And we're going to read an article by the Daily Sabo, which I've actually never heard of before. Gennaro Gattuso, we'll read word for word what the article says. I might link the article at the top of the description. Gennaro Gattuso wanted to talk about Italy's revival. Instead, he ignited a global storm. Days after a 2-0 win at Moldova, a result that kept Italy's fading World Cup hopes alive, the former midfielder enforcer turned national team coach finds himself under heavy fire for remarks seen across Africa, South America, and beyond as dismissive, outdated, and tinged with Eurocentric bias. What a first paragraph. And the accuracy. I love this. I need to read this more. This is pretty fun. The controversy erupted during a post-match interview after the Moldova win, with comments captured by broadcasters around the world. Reflecting on the shifting structure of World Cup qualification since his playing days, Gattuso complained that Europe's path had become unfair, pointedly directing to the rise in African representation for 2026. Let's hear what he says. In my day, the best runners-up went straight to the World Cup, he said. In 1990 and 1994, there were 2 African teams. Now there are 9. It's not a controversy, but it creates difficulties. He went on to highlight South America's 6 automatic qualifying spots out of 10 teams, suggesting that Europe has become a confederation squeezed hardest by the reformer. And the numbers align. CAF will have 9 places. UEFA has 16. CONMEBOL retains 6. And CONCACAF, Oceania, and Africa each gained ground under the 2023 reforms. But Gattuso's framing, delivered at a tense moment for a nation desperate to avoid another qualification failure, landed badly. No kidding. I was going to oh my God, this is awesome. Okay, we're going to read what the media wrote. In Morocco and Senegal, pundits blasted his comments as colonial thinking dressed in nostalgia. Hell yeah, I love that. I love it. I deep down, I am part Italian, like in my blood. I believe I am at least. But this is stupid for Italy. We're going to keep reading. Nigerian media flagged the idea that Europe's struggles should be pinned on African growth. It's not Africa's fault Italy can't qualify. Fix your youth system, not our slots, read one viral comment. Y'all don't mess around. I love it. In Kenya, hashtags say Africa deserves more, and Gattuso out dominated the African X landscape. And even in Europe, support was mixed. Former Italy manager Sacchi, I think so you say it, urged Gattuso to focus more on domestic shortcomings rather than global allocation politics. Hell yeah. Now, let me say this, Mr. Gattuso. And I've backed Africa like soccer for years now. The amount of quality in the African continent right now is at an all-time high. You have over a dozen nations that could easily qualify for a World Cup and multiple other federations in the world. I'm confident in saying that. Let's go back to Africa. I'm serious. African World Cup qualifying. We need to review this because this pisses me off. Let's list some teams that I believe would go out and get into a World Cup, like a World Cup in multiple other continents. Egypt, Senegal, maybe South Africa. I don't really know. Cameroon, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Gabon, Tunisia, Ghana. That's only a few. Even they're the underdogs. Where are they? Not Madagascar. I mentioned Gabon. You could go to Cape Verde, Angola, Nigeria, Benin, Sudan, DR Congo, Burkina Faso. Like, there's so many quality teams. There's like over a dozen quality teams here. It's unreal of the audacity of Gennaro Gattuso to make that comment when he's complaining because Italy can't beat North Macedonia. They can't go out and destroy teams like the Israeli national team who are not good. They can't go out and convincingly beat Moldova or Estonia like the Norwegians can because they have a freaking robot at striker. You can't go out and get belted ass by freaking Norway, who haven't made a World Cup in ages. You lose to a team that is focused around 2 players. 2. This isn't U12 youth soccer where teams are centered around 2 players, mainly. This is the World Cup qualifying. And they have the audacity to get destroyed by Martin Odegaard and Erling Haaland, who are great players. And I will not doubt that they are great players. But the fact of the matter is this. You go out and get massacred on your home field, leading 1-0, and then go out and you just suck against Norway, a national team that has been known to be bottling it. Well, guess what? That's Italy's label now. You've missed 3 World Cups by qualifying automatically. How the hell does that happen when you're a former European champion this decade? It's unbelievable. They are the Euros merchants. I'm calling them that now. And if they don't get out of their European their European path qualifying thing, my God, that is a travesty of what has happened to the Italian national team. I'm still mad about it. The audacity to complain about another continent's qualifying while you go out and you just almost completely blow a 2-goal lead inside 10 minutes to Israel. How about not lose, Mr. Gattuso? How about you don't go out and bottle it to a team that's not ranked in like the top 100, top 80? How does that happen? Would Italy have gotten out of most of these groups? Probably not. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would have caused a lot of problems for Italy here. The audacity after losing twice to a team that hasn't been to the World Cup in ages is hilarious. I'm still mad about it. And it happened a week ago now. Norway goes to the World Cup and absolutely deserve it. Italy are turning into the team that's going to be hated on by this channel for ages. They are the team, the Death Star. How are you complaining about this when you have this group? Who do you want in your group? You wouldn't have gone out of the group with Albania, possibly. They want Croatia's group? They want the group that freaking Spain were in? How about not suck? It's that simple. You had an extra bad team, Italy. All you had to do was just not suck against Norway. I think that team would have lost to a smaller national team like Slovakia or Kosovo. Denmark and Scotland they would have lost to. Obviously to France. Obviously to Spain. Obviously to Portugal. Probably to the Netherlands. Probably to Austria and maybe even Bosnia and Herzegovina. They look terrible. And the audacity to go and call out another national team, a whole other continent, because your team is just not good. They're not. Barely beating Israel and Moldova. What are we doing? Come on, man. You got to be better. Italy are going to the playoff regardless, and we will talk about their draw in a minute because it's actually not that difficult. All right, time for me to stop being angry. Belgium, Belgium are another team that frustrates me. They're going to be a pot 1 team for the World Cup and almost didn't get out of a group with Wales, North Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. Let's walk through what happened. Belgium were in like the whole – actually, no, they weren't in this. Wales went out and won their opening matchup against Kazakhstan. North Macedonia beat Liechtenstein. Then Kazakhstan beat Liechtenstein. North Macedonia and Wales scored inside stoppage time in the second half to grab a draw. Then Belgium opened it up by drawing North Macedonia. It's giving Italy PTSD. Wales beat Liechtenstein. North Macedonia beat Kazakhstan. And then we had the game of the group between Belgium and Wales in June. And it was Belgium who opened the scoring with Romelu Lukaku. Tielemans and Doku made it 3-0 inside half an hour. But then goals by Harry Wilson, and then Thomas, and then Johnson made it 3-3 in Brussels. But a late winner from Kevin De Bruyne sealed the deal for Belgium, 4-3 win for Waffle Land. They continued to waffle over Liechtenstein. Kazakhstan went out and just sucked in Astana against Wales. Kiefer Moore scored the winner, which brought us to September. And in a situation like this, Belgium were still under pressure from North Macedonia and Wales. North Macedonia beat Liechtenstein courtesy of 4 second-half goals. Belgium beat Kazakhstan. But then this is where it got weird. It was the October window. When Kazakhstan beat Liechtenstein, Belgium drew North Macedonia, putting the pressure on them, and that meant Belgium had to go out and not drop points twice against Wales and Kazakhstan. Well, North Macedonia bottled it. They drew Kazakhstan after going behind to Kazakhstan. And then Belgium went out and beat Wales 4-2 on the road in Cardiff. Great result for Belgium. That sealed their World Cup qualification. Though, oddly enough, they drew Kazakhstan on the last day. I still don't know how to feel about on one of the last days because then they went out and beat Liechtenstein 7-0, which then really cinched their qualification, while North Macedonia lost 7-1 to Wales. Finally, they could score goals. It's great for them. Top goal scorer in the group was Kevin De Bruyne, Doku, and whatever. Belgium finishes on 18 points. Wales, after a very respectable effort, finished on 16 points and are going to the playoff. And North Macedonia, because of their performance in the Nations League, are also going to the playoff. Group K, second to last group. England, this was the group with Albania and Serbia. That was the matchup we would get treated to for qualification to the playoff. England went out and opened up by beating Albania. Latvia beat Andorra. Albania then beat Andorra, and England beat Latvia. This is when I really started paying attention because Serbia drew Albania in Tirana. And for those who don't know, Albania and Serbia do not like each other. And England just barely beat Andorra. They had like 30 shots, it felt like, but England couldn't get through or get anything on target against Andorra in Barcelona. And England eventually won it through Harry Kane. I was listening to that on my phone going to my old broadcasting job. It was kind of nuts. Later in the month, Latvia drew Albania. Serbia beat Andorra, which sets up a September window. Hello.
Sorry, buddy.
That's what happens, Chad. You know what I'm saying? You're good. But where were we? Yes, we were talking about Serbia, and they went out and beat Latvia, and they had to beat Latvia. Remember that. Serbia had to beat Latvia to stay in the mix. England beat Andorra, which sets up the duel between Serbia and England. And my God, England won. They won 5-0 against Serbia. Albania needed a penalty from Asllani in Tirana to get the draw. That sets up our October window where Albania played Serbia. And oh boy, Albania with the win over the Serbs in Leskovac to eliminate Serbia, essentially. Serbia then beat Andorra. England beat Latvia. Albania beat Andorra, and then Albania lost to England. England beat Serbia to eliminate the Serbs. Serbia ended up beating Latvia on the last day. And Albania, who I thought might have been in trouble, make it to the European playoff by 1 point. Serbia, who made it to World Cup 2022 in Qatar, are out. Surprisingly, I know. Finally, we're going to talk about this group for 5 seconds. Shout out to the Faroe Islands. They were in the group with Croatia, Czechia, Montenegro, and Gibraltar. The Faroe Islands went out and beat Czechia. I don't know how to feel about that right now, honestly. Like, if you think about it, chat, Czechia, they drew Croatia. They got some good draws. But then, you just go out and bottle it in Torshavn against the Faroe Islands. Like, what is that? Seriously. Faroe Islands then bottled it against Croatia, which naturally, so they ran out of matches. But fair play to the Faroe Islands. 12 points for the Faroe Islands, something you never see. But Croatia is going to the World Cup, which sets up the European playoff, which we're going to predict right now. The teams going to the playoff out of pot 1, we have Italy, Denmark, Turkey, and Ukraine. Pot 2, we have Poland, Wales, Czechia, Slovakia. Pot 3, we have Ireland, Albania, Bosnia, and Kosovo. And pot 4, which is automatically unseeded, we have Sweden, Romania, North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland. Path A, Italy is playing Northern Ireland, and the winner plays Wales and Bosnia. This is a perfect path for Wales and Bosnia. This is going to be the most fun path. One of the most, all 3 paths are going to be fun to watch. This is intriguing because these 2 teams, Wales and Bosnia, match up perfectly for each other. And then are the matchups that could beat up on Italy, which is great. I think Italy will beat Northern Ireland. I'm more confident in them than when they were playing North Macedonia. I'm picking Bosnia to beat Wales. Wales just went out and put up 7. But whoever team goes out and plays Italy, I think you're going to have a great shot at beating the Italians. They're going to be under fire. They're going to be under pressure right away in March. It'll be a situation where it will not be a very easy semifinal or not an easy final at all in late March. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really liking the way that Bosnian team played. Same with Wales. Wales just went out and beat North Macedonia 7-1. A lot of what those matchups in March we will talk about it more when March comes. A lot of what those matchups are going to have to do with is injuries. That Bosnia team I don't trust the depth of Bosnia as much as I do with Wales. Obviously, Wales made the World Cup more recently, so I kind of know that team more. But that Bosnia team doesn't mess around. They know how to go out and grab results at home or on the road. If they're fully healthy, I would pick Bosnia. I think Bosnia could beat the Italians. Italy is obviously the favorite here. But Wales and Bosnia are 2 teams that do not mess around. I think both of them could take it to the Italians. Path B, Ukraine are playing Sweden. Poland is playing Albania. Terrible draw for Albania. I feel horrible for them. Why couldn't they have? I mean, they got the hardest draw possible. Having them play Poland and then two teams that could obviously make the World Cup in Ukraine and Sweden. I think this is a good matchup for Sweden. I think they match up well with the Ukraine national team. So I'm picking Sweden if they find some form. Like, you have to win 2 matches so you go to the World Cup. This is the time for Sweden to figure it out. They barely made it in the first place. There's going to be a lot of controversy around them to begin with. But I think Sweden matched well with Ukraine. I think the favorite in the team I will select out of this path is going to be Poland. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Polish national team, like Ukraine, like Sweden. I think Albania are obviously the underdogs right now, but I think Poland are the team that I'd back the most to go out and qualify for the World Cup out of this path. Path A, by the way, my selection, I want to pick Bosnia so bad, but I can't go that thing, take it seriously without not picking Italy. And then path C, our third path, we have Turkey against Romania and Slovakia against Kosovo. God, I love that Kosovo team. I'm having Kosovo beat Slovakia. I want Kosovo to win. I don't think they have it in them, though. And it really sucks. This is Turkey's group to lose. They have a lot of quality, especially in their midfield and front line. I'm picking Turkey only because they have more quality than everyone else. If this is solely on tactics, I love that Kosovo team. That Kosovo team is fun. They're fluid. They cause problems. I don't think they do it enough against Turkey. I'm picking Kosovo. Not Kosovo. I'm picking Turkey. Path D, we have Denmark against North Macedonia and Czechia against Ireland. A lot of teams with a lot to prove, particularly Denmark and Czechia. I think they're both going to be under a major amount of pressure immediately off the jump. The team I'm worried about in this group path the most is Czechia. Obviously, they lost to the Faroe Islands. I still don't know what to think about that. Ireland, who are going to be coming in with a full head of steam. They're going to have all the momentum, even though it might get deducted a little bit, obviously, because they're not playing right away. I like this Irish team a lot, but I'm going to go with Denmark playing Czechia and Denmark going through to the playoffs. As much as I hate having all 1 seeds of the pot 1 teams go to the World Cup, I think that's the best way to look about it. But underrated teams I think that could get out of each pot, each path. Path A is going to be Bosnia. Path B, obviously, actually, no, Path B, I'm picking Poland. I believe that we're the pot 2 team. So I am picking 1 pot 2, which is nice. I'm not picking Ukraine. The underrated team in Path B, I think that could qualify is Sweden. They have the best attack in the group. And I think if they could put it all together, they could win 2 matches and go to the World Cup. Path C, I think the sleeper team's Kosovo. I mean, obviously. Romania are another team that could maybe cause some problems. So all 4 of those teams could obviously win that group, easily win that group. And then Path D, I'm going to go with Ireland. I mean, I'm counting out North Macedonia again, but Denmark match up better against North Macedonia, and they could really take it to them. So I think Ireland would be the team. I mean, obviously they know how to score late goals. They know how to defend well late on in the match. They know how to push forward well late. I'm going to say Ireland are the sleeper team for me out of Path D and not Czechia. But let's go over all of the teams who've qualified so far out of each federation. The hosts, obviously, are the United States of America. Hell yeah, go up the USA. We got Mexico, who are, by the way, they're struggling. The U.S. actually are coming off of a 5-1 win against Uruguay, which makes me feel pretty good about them, with RB team. Canada are also here. They are going to be one of the hosts as well. From Asia, we have Iran. We got Uzbekistan out of Group A in the 3rd round. We get South Korea and Jordan. We have Japan and Australia. We have Qatar and Saudi. 8 great nations coming to the World Cup in the United States, including 2 debutantes in Jordan and Uzbekistan. From Africa, the best qualifying cycle I've ever seen from this continent. We have Egypt. We have Senegal. We have South Africa. We have Cape Verde, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Algeria, Tunisia, and Ghana. 9 great powers of the African game, including 8 great powers of the African game, and 1 debutante in Cape Verde, those tiny islands off the western part of the continent. Out of CONCACAF, joining the United States, Canada, and Mexico, we got my boys from Curacao, Panama, and Haiti. A Curacao team that are making their World Cup debut. Haiti back in the tournament for the first time since Germany 1974. Out of CONMEBOL, out of South America, we have Argentina. We have Ecuador. We have Colombia. We have Uruguay. We have Brazil, and we have Paraguay, with Bolivia going to the Intercontinental Playoff. Out of Oceania, we have New Zealand, with New Caledonia going to the playoff. By the way, other teams going to the playoff, we'll go over the playoff in a minute, actually. And then out of UEFA, we have Germany. We have Switzerland. We have Scotland. We got France. We have Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Austria, Norway, Belgium, England, and Croatia, with the Intercontinental Playoff teams being the DR Congo, Iraq, New Caledonia, Bolivia, Suriname, and Jamaica. It will be a very fun World Cup. And what's also going to be fun is that shows are coming, the streams are coming back. For the next week or so, they'll be a little inconsistent. Obviously, I'm still finishing up my semester here at part of my senior year. But over break, we're going to be doing a ton of stuff, including more coverage of the AFCON, which is something I'm very excited about. I love AFCON. We're actually doing a whole prediction thing for AFCON in a couple of weeks. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more stuff about AFCON. And we'll have a reaction to World Cup qualifying. We'll definitely have that on December the 5th, immediately following the draw. World Cup qualifying is nearing its conclusion. The main parts are done. 42 of our 48 nations are known, and our draw is just weeks away. I'm so happy I could help remind you and recap all of it for you today in a stream that was about an hour and a half long. We'll go over the order real quick. We started off with Asia. Then we went to Africa. And then we went to CONCACAF. Then we went to the Intercontinental Playoff for some reason. And then we finished off with UEFA after South America finished earlier. With all of our teams, all 42 of our teams so far now known. Thank you so much for tuning into today's stream chat. I hope you are ready for more content because, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming back. Streams are back. I'm so excited to be with you guys for the next couple of months. I'm so excited for RBTV to be back. Thank you so much to everyone during the break that did subscribe. We're up to over 115 now. I think we're at 119. So we're trying to get to maybe 150 by Christmas. It's a tall ask, but I know you guys can do it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. It'd be greatly appreciated. I'm Robbie Basil saying so long. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the rest of the sporting world, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, guys.